So earlier today, alleged Russian spy Maria Butina changed her plea agreement to guilty. Now, according to different articles, one in Law and Crime and ABC News, as well as many others, they say that Russian spy Maria Butina has pleaded guilty today to one count of a conspiracy to act as a foreign agent as part of a plea deal that includes cooperation with the government. Now, Judge Tanya Chutkan had agreed to the plea change. Now, in it, Maria Butina had admitted that she had traveled to the United States to attend an NRA convention. And the reason that she wanted to do that is to meet members of the Republican Party. And the reason that she did that, of course, is to try to have some influence over the incoming Republican administration. So now, she, of course, was on orders from a Russian official handler. Now, she had asked whether she could develop a relationship with President-elect Donald Trump's inner circle. Now, was she able to do that? I don't necessarily know. We don't quite know yet. But she did make some inroads with the NRA. Now, the familiar phrase here, according to Law and Crime, is that Butina had admitted to doing this under the direction of a Russian official. Per ABC News, Butina admits as part of the deal, according to a copy obtained by ABC News that is expected to be filed with the court, that she and an unnamed U.S. person, one, who we already apparently know, sources have identified as longtime Republican operative Paul Erickson, with whom she had had a multi-year romantic relationship. Talk about deep throat right there, in possibly more ways than one. I'm just saying. They had agreed and conspired with a Russian government official. This official, who I'm going to identify later on, and at least one other person, for Butina to act in the United States under the direction of a Russian official without prior notification to the Attorney General. So who is this Russian official? Well, officials believe that it is a man named Alexander Torshin. Now, Alexander Torshin has done a lot of business with the NRA and also happens to be the deputy governor of the Russian Central Bank. And look, if you're in a position of power in Russia, well then, look, you obviously have to be linked to the Russian leader, Vladimir Putin. So if you want to operate business or get into power in Russia, well, then you have to be friends with the Russian oligarchs, and one of them happens to be Vladimir Putin. So now, under his direction, the agreement said, she had sought to establish unofficial lines of communication with Americans having power and influence over U.S. politics. So note that, of course, it says unofficial because they want plausible deniability, which makes sense in this context. Now, in addition, Butina's GOP operative, her NRA-connected boyfriend Paul Erickson, was also implicated in the crime. Erickson allegedly agreed and conspired with Butina to achieve her mission of gathering that influence. So it's basically a way for the Russian government to gain influence inside the Trump administration in order to advance their goals, of course, for one, eliminating those pesky sanctions on Russian oligarchs. So that would be one of those things, right? And so that makes sense. Now, Erickson's lawyer, of course, came out and said that, and this is William Hurd, or Bill Hurd, he put out a statement, Paul Erickson is a good American. He's never done anything to hurt our country, and never would. Okay, yeah, but look, they say they never set out to hurt America, right? No, what they're doing is just they're willing to accept foreign help in order to help right-wingers get elected, whom they believe, of course, will ultimately save America. Well, obviously, I need all the help we can to beat the liberals, to own the libs, and oh, look, Russia is willing to help us. Oh, well, great. Well, we like the Russians anyway because they're right-wing, they're autocrats, they're plutocrats, oligarchs. Well, that's the kind of stuff that we want here in America. Well, I love that. So, of course, it makes sense. In fact, there's a lot of Republicans, conservatives, that look at Russia and they're like, oh, they're so anti-gay. Why can't we have that here? And they're super hyper-capitalist over there. And so, oh, we want that too. And we basically want one party control over the country to enact our agenda. Oh, Russia, we love you. Now, here's the thing, right? I got bad news for those Republicans who love Russia. Russians don't give a fuck about helping America. You think they want us to be great? You think they want America to be great again? No. They either want to neutralize us as a world power or get our help in establishing Russia as a secondary major world power, right? Alongside with America in order to push both Russian and American goals. This is more about Russia, or I'm sorry, about making Russia great again, not America. Now, part of that, of course, as I said before, would be removing the sanctions on Russian oligarchs. See, it turns out when you mess with their money, as the Obama administration did, well, they don't like that. They don't like that at all. Now, another part of that would be, of course, doing $500 million oil deals with Putin in order to boost the economy. That's what Rex Tillerson had originally been put in the State Department to do. They couldn't do that because guess what? Russian sanctions, of course. So, look, let's be honest about what their motivations are. They're not there to help America. They're there to help themselves. It's a lot like when Americans put ourselves into other people's foreign policy. We're not advancing their interests. We're advancing our own. That's the whole point of interfering in the political process of another country. So, again, let's be honest about that. Now, back to Erickson here. Now, because of his alleged help, Erickson has reportedly received a, quote, target letter from prosecutors and may be charged for acting as a foreign agent. So, along with Butina, of course, Erickson might be in some very big trouble. Now, as Law and Crime notes, Butina changing her plea is actually incredibly important. Now, we knew that the government was seeking a maximum penalty of 5 years, depending on how much she cooperates with investigators. She could see that drastically reduced, and they might even talk about, after her serving her time, deporting her back to Russia. So, where I wouldn't be surprised if she cooperates to see her suddenly disappear or have a piano fall on her or suddenly get poisoned. Just saying. I would expect that. Anyway, now, what's also as important is that Butina is now the first Russian national to plead guilty to a crime related to influencing the 2016 election. Now, it also should be noted, though, that this was separate from Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian collusion involving Donald Trump, the Trump campaign, and Russia. So that means that right now, there isn't any proof of collusion between Donald Trump himself and Russia. So it is important to find out. At least right now, we don't know. Obviously, Robert Mueller's got the cards here. So keep that in mind. But what's interesting here is if Butina does have information on Russian collusion and gives that to gives that to the prosecutors, those prosecutors could hand that information off to Robert Mueller. And we don't know if that's the case or that's going to happen or if it already has happened. But what we do know is that the NRA was involved in this because Torshin had obviously a big stock in the NRA, as well as Butina. So, and not only that, but you also had the NRA that gave Donald Trump millions and millions of dollars during his presidential campaign. So that is a possible link that they are looking into. So, and I hope they continue to look into that and see if there's any sort of connection there that they can make. But for now, we'll see what develops from this plea deal in the coming days and weeks, but it is pretty big news. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.